I, 32F, am a mom and a wife, and one of my favorite things to do to get away for a little while is go on glorious long hikes in the woods. I haven't been able to do it for over a year because of being pregnant and then having a newborn, but my son just turned 1 a while back and I have been focusing a lot on getting back into shape. Last week, my husband asked me what I wanted to do for Mother's Day, and I told him what I really wanted to do was go get lost in the woods for a couple of hours. The pun was absolutely not intended. I live in rural Oregon, and while my property is surrounded by farmlands, I have a friend who lives a couple miles up the road whose property meets up with endless acres of BLM land. If you don't know, it's land that belongs to the Bureau of Land Management and is often sold to logging companies. When it's not under contract, it's generally open to the public as long as you leave no trace. There are thousands of acres of dense forest, waterfalls and rivers, wildlife trails, and fire access roads. You can generally navigate between these access roads, but there are definitely places where one could get turned around, especially because there's rarely any service. This specific area, my friend and I have both hiked and ridden our horses on for years, so I was confident that the trails I planned to take up to a lookout point were safe to take alone. On any given day, I wouldn't have been alone as I would have brought my wonderful dog with me, but, unfortunately, she had passed away when my son was 4 months old. I considered taking my friend's dog, but she ended up being locked in the house and my friend was at work. Besides, I always carry while out, so I wasn't worried. The hike started out like any other. I took the main fire road down towards the river, crossed, and then took a specific trail that fishtailed up towards a ridge. From there, it was a 2-hour trek that bends, rises, and falls, until you get to a clearing. From that clearing, it goes straight up for a long while to the lookout on some giant rocks. The hike is a good 4 hours round trip. I made it to the ridge and was walking along the trail when I heard voices. I didn't want to run into people. I prefer to be alone. So I began preparing myself to politely say hi and continue on my merry way, trying not to engage in conversation like many do. However, that didn't work out like I planned. The voices belonged to these 3 men, probably around my age, walking very casually on the trail. Now, it's not a sin to be a man, but when you're a woman out in the middle of nowhere and outnumbered, you tend to become a little vigilant. I did the old on your left and offered a nod while passing, but one of them reached out and stopped me. I mean, he actually put his hand under my elbow and gave me a nudge. I turned around, thinking that he stumbled, but he launched into this conversation that I can't remember everything about. So tell me, has something similar ever happened to you?